And we did it. We're live.
Welcome
to Leadership from the Heart.
Now we said we weren't coming on this week because of our shareholders, but we just couldn't stay away, right?
We couldn't stay away. And also, let's face it, when we talk about leadership from the heart, there are three, if I count. There are three ladies that are very special and near and dear to my heart, and that is each of the one of you that is here today. So this is pulling at my heartstrings to have Jill and Sheryl with us today.
So fun.
Oh, hugs.
How we've been referred.
That's right. I love it.
So hi. Welcome to Leadership from the Heart, Jill and Sheryl.
Guys.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Thank you so much for having us, ladies. You've had quite a lineup and feeling like somebody.
And we've had some amazing wisdom. And it's hard, we have all these questions and all these things we want to ask, and then we're just like, wow. I mean, just the leadership and the wisdom and the just everything that's coming out of these mouths and the experience. And I mean, if you think about like Lee Cockrell, 40-year career, and we're just soaking it all in. So it's been a lot of fun.
Core value collaboration at its finest. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of collaboration, I would love for each of you, Jill and Sheryl, to share with everyone about yourself. And then I want to dive in because we have a pretty special story about how we all met. So Sheryl, you want to kick us off? Share about yourself and let's kind of dive in.
Most certainly. So Sheryl Houck from Tampa Bay. I'm a very gritty, friendly, passionate real estate professional. Found my lane in servicing investors. So I've got a big heart I'm an investor myself, and I've got a big heart for helping other real estate agents also build wealth for their future retirement. So coming from Hershey, Pennsylvania, Jill's also fellow Pennsylvania, which is awesome. Outside of Hershey, very, very small town. And, come from parents of great values, and they sent me out into the world with some solid foundations. But you know what? It's finding great people like you, finding the tribe that we have at EXP that has really brought me to a place where I am absolutely flourishing, expanding, the financial freedom that we're seeing through the model. I just am, every day I wake up with such tremendous gratitude. And so grateful I found the fabulous four, and I'm looking forward to sharing how we all came together with the nudge, right?
It was the nudge.
Yes, very good nudge.
It was a good nudge.
Very consistent nudge, right?
Yeah.
We'll get into nudges, but I got to ask: is anybody still getting nudges?
Oh
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's leave them on the side of their couch, right? We'll talk about nudges in a minute, but I would love to hear from Jill, Miss Jill.
Sheryl, that was really nice to hear. I know sometimes the four of us get busy in talking about things that we're wanting to do in the future and projects that we want to build together, but it's nice to be reminded of our roots and where we've come from. So I appreciated hearing, having a reminder of your story. So, my name is Jill Leberknight, Austin, Texas, with here in Austin, Central Texas, with Elizabeth Riley. I'm the Austin Agent Jill team here in Austin. I am a classically trained actor, singer, and dancer who thought she was going to spend her life on Broadway. And then fell in love with teaching and was a high school drama teacher for years, and just really thought that I was going to help grow and nurture the future artists of tomorrow. And then, arts funding sometimes gets cut. And lo and behold, I stepped into real estate 15 years ago. And I joke about it all the time and say, if someone would have told me when I was a teenager that I was going to go into real estate and love it, I would have said, you're high, you're crazy. But I fell in love with it. I think I approach everything that I do as a teacher. I joke and say I'm Teacher Jill. But every client that I work with, every transaction is a new show. And I don't mean that in a glitzy, dramatic way, but when you're raised in the theater, you're taught how to be front of house, back of house, stage manager, costumes, direction. You are a project manager. And you know that ultimately it's all about the audience and it's all about serving a story. And so to me, I feel like real estate allows me to bring together a lifetime of skills. All my formal education is in drama and theater. So I've just been loving it. I have a community focused referral based business in Austin, Texas, and just love on my community, much like Elizabeth Riley does. So that's a little bit about me.
That's great.
Jill, you are one of the best storytellers we know. Hands down. You just rock our world with the way you are able to share a story, but also inspire others to find their story and share their story, which you've taught us a lot.
Thank you, Renee. I'm learning how to accept compliments and hear things and digest them. So I hear you. I hear you.
Byron gave us an overview on accepting compliments the other day. So we're being very mindful of that.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Okay, ladies, who wants to talk about the nudge and exactly how did these four women come together?
Oh boy, where do we begin? It was a book.
It was
Yes,
the book.
Woohoo!
Good job. It was the book.
Yeah, and I think Sheryl talked about the value of finding a tribe, and that's something that is really resonating with me right now, and I think a lot of us as we're going through this experience. But I think what initially brought us together was a shared sense of values, a shared story, shared passions, shared goals and ideas of how we wanted to collaborate and be authentic participants in our company. So that's my memory, is that we were really passionate, and the nudge, aka author of Big Chief, recognized and enjoyed collaborating with us, and we started planning a very specific and wonderful regional event that included 965 Voxers and some Pirates in Tampa.
Wait a minute. I'm confused. Pirates in Tampa?
Okay. That is the funniest thing ever because I totally forgot about the Voxers.
Gosh, how can we? It's like our beginning. It's like our birth story.
Well, I know, but here's the funny thing. Jill has this beautiful story about how we all blossomed and all four came together when my memory is we were all a hot mess that had an idea. And we're like, okay, why don't we get some icons together, which happen to be the top 2% of eXp Realty nationwide. Let's get some icons together because we weren't going to see, remember it was between eXp Con, which was in October, and Sheryl's event, which was in the spring. And we were like, we're not going to see any of our icons face to face. Let's throw an event together and see who shows up. So we decide, let's just plan something fun. And Sheryl says, oh, the Pirates are coming to Tampa.
The Pirates are coming.
No, she didn't even say Pirates. It was just this Gasparilla thing. And I think we tuned her out for the entire planning until like a week before. She's like, everyone bring your pirate costumes. And I'm like, wait a second. There's costumes? I did not know this.
Pirates, Jill Leberknight jumps up and says, I don't care what we're doing. I've got my costume. I'm all ready. Right? And so we decide, hey, let's just do an event. If 5 come, we'll mastermind. If 10 come, because our company's so awesome with collaboration, right? And so Tampa made sense because it was warm in January, right? And we're like, let's do this. And then in 5 weeks over Voxer, 900 and something Voxers, we planned this event.
Wait, you're leaving something out. Over Christmas holiday.
I was literally just going to say that. Yes.
We are out of our minds.
But again, hindsight's 2020, right? We're thinking, okay, maybe a few of us, the 4 of us will get together. That'd be awesome. And how many do we have? Like
Cheryl.
20, 25, 30.
Well, we had 50 icons, and then we had Orlando people and Florida people come in, and y'all, that was amazing. All of a sudden, we're all together, we're all masterminding, we're all sharing and building each other up. And then
Sheryl, I'm curious because she had it very obviously leading that pack. You invited us all to come to your hometown for Gasparilla. What's it like in your seat in the stands to process that and also just take on that huge feat, because you really carried the weight there with it being in your hometown?
Oh, well, at one point I reminded you all that I was going to be in Germany for 14 days.
Oh, that's right.
I don't know that. I don't know if I can do this. Elizabeth, I remember you saying, you're going to do this. You're going to do this. And the creativity that came out in collaboration, the encouragement, the all over Voxer, all of it was planned by Voxer. And just so much gratitude to Rick Miller, who recognized that the four of us could do some great things together. And I will forever be grateful for that. Pretty cool.
Absolutely. And what I remember is that there was an EXP Power Girls event in August. And Renee, you and I hadn't really connected much prior to that event, but there is a wonderful, authentic, humble openness that I have experienced personally at EXP, where people are really open to hearing other people's stories and letting them in. And I just remember that particular event. People were coming from all over the place to hear Rick speak. It was one of his big presentations on the book. His wonderful first time. Yeah, about the Power Compass. And I just remember there was a lot of creative energy in the room that we all sensed that we wanted to explore and expand. And we just started I remember coming home and talking with Elizabeth and going, there's this girl, Renee, that I met at the Power Girls event in Dallas. And gosh, I think there's something there that we might be able to collaborate with. And then you, Elizabeth, you were having conversations with Sheryl. I mean, there were all these like little independent conversations that eventually brought us all together. And we just allowed I don't know the word, the divine, or we just gave over.
The universe brought us together. I had, going back to Dallas, the Power Girls conference that Mary and Patricia hosted and put together. I got to say, so I flew in kind of a last minute thing from Orlando, and that was the first time I attended any event with that number of women, even a small group of women actually, and left there with such a full, warm heart, because I don't usually experience the powerful women who truly, from the bottom of their heart, mean it when they say, I'll lift you up.
Absolutely. And Renee, I know we've talked collectively, all of us, that, it's really powerful when a group of women can get together and really just love on each other and lift each other up and let each other be who they are, exactly who they are, and not have competition. And that's been beautiful with this collaboration.
I love that so much. That's probably the number one thing that I love about our company. And I think that comes from such a closely, there's an overlap of personal values and professional values. I mean, really the core values of our company, I think, are the core values of any great human being.
Well, and what was so cool about that event is I don't think we expected the turnout physically and also emotionally that we had, and how amazing it was, which rolled into, we're going to do this again. We're going to do this quarterly because we did free time. Let's plan these events. So, and then the next one was in Austin, which was, Jill and I are here. And so we were able to do that and bring all these great icons to our beautiful Austin Border Realtors. And we rented, the boat and took everybody out with fajitas.
I have a picture here.
I
Oh,
love
yeah.
it.
And
Picture of
put them
it.
out on our backs. I mean, like, what's been really cool is just getting to share those experiences and creating our news stories with our colleagues. And, I'm super bummed because our next one was supposed to be in Nashville in June.
Temporarily postponed. Just
Not canceled. But I will say, y'all, I know we're just coming off of our shareholders week. Off the charts. I'm so overwhelmed. I mean, Renee and I kept saying, we're not going to do Leadership of the Heart this week because we're so poured into our shareholders, which was supposed to be in Orlando. And then they pivoted. And how many people? 1,800 avatars in our virtual campus over this week.
Yeah.
Can we all go around and take turns saying, okay, regarding Shareholder Summit, which originally was meant to be in person, as it always is, was a very eased in, simple transition to pivot over to the cloud campus powered by Virbela, EXP World. What are your thoughts about Shareholder? And what was one of your favorite takeaways? Being that it was the first time we had a conference in a cloud campus, at least in my experience. Elizabeth Riley.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
So for me, I am very social. You guys know that. I love to travel. I love the conferences thing. I love just mixing and mingling. I will say I was much more engaged because if you think about our conference last year, I mean, we were in the hotel that the conference was room, and it still took us 15 minutes to get from our room to the conference room, right? And in this situation, we could just pop into the different classes, and I took in so many notes and so many classes and training. Literally Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I sat in front of my computer, and I didn't feel like I was sitting in front of my computer. I felt like I was immersed in the training, and I was getting so many great things. Some of my ahas, though, I have so many ahas. My ahas is we're doing something pretty amazing. I've known we were doing something pretty amazing, but then when I look and see how effortlessly we were able to pivot and how amazing our marketing team was and how amazing Alex and the Virbela team was, and to bring that all together, right? I mean, we learned, and we had all these people come together when every other industry is kind of at a standstill, right? And we were still being able to grow ourselves and grow our business. But the panels were amazing. The Icon Mastermind, we had 700 icons in there, mastermind and sharing. I mean, the panels and the breakout sessions were just incredible. So it's what makes me a better agent. We're all 4 top agents, but there are so many other people better than us. And I love being able to grow and build my business. I don't want to necessarily be, $100 million producer every year, but can I learn from them? Absolutely. And they were up on stage just sharing, this is what we do. And I took so many takeaways on what I can do to better my business. So I was just in awe looking at the screen and taking in all the panels.
Sheryl, I'd love to hear from you. And I want to remind the audience too, that I think nearly all of our shareholder summit was streamed live on YouTube through the EXP Realty YouTube channel. So much of those panels, you talk about cascading success and cascading information and collaboration. It's all out there because we believe in having open playbooks so that we elevate not only our brokerage, but hopefully the industry as a whole. Sheryl, talk Shareholder Summit. What were your experiencing, and what was one of your favorite takeaways?
Oh gosh, I didn't know what to expect. I really, I was overwhelmed when I walked into the convention center to see that it felt exactly like a convention center. How did they do this? I too sat in some of the very high level sessions. There's some great talent that is coming aboard. EXP attracts the top talent. So how lucky are we to be able to collaborate with them, and they freely share their secrets. So my big takeaway, however, is, as we see changes in our industry, whether that be, remember 4 years ago when we started to see the iBuyers coming to our market, and so many real estate agents were fearful. Oh my goodness, the sky is falling. We're gonna be displaced, and now we know that we're needed more than ever because corporations going into corporations for profit going into contract with a home seller without any, that's not a good thing. So my big takeaway is that no matter how the industry changes and morphs, and it will, we know it will, we are linked with the most brilliant leadership. With I've got hashtags. You know I have hashtags. One of them being EXP Solutions. I mean, really, when we see a challenge to agents out there in the industry, leadership is always answering any of those challenges for the greater good of the consumer and the greater good of the agent. And when you do the right thing for the right people for the right reasons, it just continues to beget more goodness and beget more goodness. And that was my big takeaway, that no matter what happens in the real estate industry, we are absolutely perfectly positioned to come out on top, forward thinking, cutting edge. It's pretty cool.
Well, like Gene said originally, not Gene, I'm sorry, I always do that. Glenn said from the stage, very calmly, very humbly, right? Very matter of fact, we were prepared. And that was when I heard, like when he went into that conversation, we were prepared. I mean, we never expected anything like this, but we haven't missed a beat. In fact, I think we've become stronger and better. So those are the words that keep going on in my head. We were prepared.
We were prepared.
But I was mindful that for those of us who were early adopters of, this technology in our virtual world, we've had a little bit of confidence going into this situation because we're used to Zoom meetings. We're used to jumping online and being in virtual environments. But I was so mindful that there's still so much more evolution to happen and occur. And I was just mindful that I was even leaning in more in a new, I think all of our senses are really awake right now because our routines are completely changed around. And I just felt like I was leaning in a new and different way to our technology that made me hopeful that there's new layers and levels to achieve in virtual. And yet it was one of Elizabeth's panels that she was on, that she hosted and moderated, about passionate about people. So there was these two extremes of, where are we going to go with technology? But also, it's always going to be about the people, right? It's always going to be about the authentic connections that we have with each other and sharing, because this whole week has come from a place of contribution. And we know that that's a big phrase and core value and core culture at EXP is don't come in and whine, come from contribution. Right. What can you contribute to a journey or an event or a challenge or a growth? What can you contribute? So that's just was a big, I you know me, I'm a modern dancer. So I had a Martha Graham stretching, symbol for this week. Like I was stretching in multiple directions.
I love the creativity that's been coming out of this time to kind of reflect on our own individual thoughts too. And Jill, I have to give you and Damon, your husband, the most amazing props. How about that video you all created?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Can you talk about that a little? And also I'd like you to tell everybody, where can they find it? Because it's the best video ever.
Well, you guys know that I'm really actively involved in the local theater scene. I'm a board member of a local community theater, and the arts scene and the arts community is experiencing a devastating, this is music, dance, opera, classical music, Shakespeare, all the performing arts are just going through a horrific experience. And I think that's been something that has really emerged, is bubbled back up to the surface for me, is these are my people. They're hurting, they're grieving. They're, like Broadway just announced that they're not going to reopen at least until September 6th. That's unprecedented. Broadway has never been, shut down for that length of time. And it was another way that I wanted to connect with my community. I'm a singer, I'm a performer, I'm a storyteller. So my husband's a filmmaker, and we were trying to keep our community theater top of mind and help the staff that was there. And we did a fundraiser, and people asked if Damon and I would do a duet. So we did a little Frozen duet. And, I don't have time as a realtor anymore to do shows. So it gave me, I had the space in my, my schedule right now to give and contribute in a different way that was certainly fulfilling to me, but just mindful that I'm a part of another tribe as well. And that's my theater tribe. And they needed some love as well right now. So it's on my Facebook page and YouTube. So I'll share it. It's a private link because I'm a little embarrassed. My pipes aren't what they used to be.
I said, we have a challenge. I said, this is going around. You and I are supposed to do this. And he was like, what? I was like, I'm just kidding.
Yes, I love that.
He and I were going to do a Frozen duet. He was not at all interested in that.
Oh, that would have been really fun. I would have enjoyed that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We are all here giving you a nudge, Jill, that needs to be open to the public for all to see. So I hope that you will, when we're done with this, drop the link into this chat, because
okay,
I'm putting you on the spot. It's amazing. And I hope to see more of that from both you and Damon. You guys are great storytellers and performers.
All righty. I will follow the orders, ma'am.
It's too good not to share.
I don't know who said it or where I heard it, but somebody was talking about, and Renee, it might have been somebody we had on here. Somebody was talking about how our kids are light years ahead of all of us, not just in real estate, but like in general. And you think about it, I mean, our kids are playing, well, shoot, Jill, your husband works in the gaming industry, right? And all of our kids, all of us have teenage boys, and they're playing these video games where they're connected to people all over the world, right? They're doing battles and they're strategizing and they're collaborating, right? And my 6-year-old is, my 8-year-old, like all of them are. And then it's funny because when I'm in our campus, Levi, my 8-year-old, he's like, Mom, I want to play Roadblocks. I want to get in there. I was like, nah, this is my office. It's my office. It's funny to me because, yes, Jill, you and I were early adopters of this, right? We were one of the first ones to help launch Texas. But it's surprising to me when I'm talking to people, and I know there's a model for everybody, but for me, it's like a no-brainer because I'm looking at what our future is doing, meaning our youth and our kids, and where technology is going. And I sit there and I wonder, why isn't everybody understanding what we're doing? Because it's so black and white to me. And so
I enjoyed, bringing my son Sullivan in and say, look what Dr. Alex Howland has done with his computer skills. Yes, you can create games and that's a wonderful creative thing, but look, he's created a world for all of us to gather and be in fellowship and learn and, grow. And I, he was, he's so much quicker at the keyboard than I am. But he was, going around and showing me different things that I could do with my mouse and different stuff. But yeah, it's
surprising, right? It's like our kids are teaching us. And that's why that's another thing. I was sitting there when we were talking about the convention center and walking around like the trade show, the expo center, like we're walking in a trade show. I could walk up to any booth and talk to them, right? Mm-hmm. But it was just, that was another aha for me. It's like, our kids have been doing this, and so I hope more people will embrace and look at what we have to offer, because we're not just, the company that has these little avatars. I mean, we are filled with compassionate, intelligent, successful people that really have a heart, because we all are owners and help each other just build and be better. And so I'm going to walk away from this week just figuring out how I can pour into myself, but pour into others, because we have so much to share.
But remember, in the past 6 weeks, when we've all been struggling to adjust to our life at home with kids 24/7, that we were worried about our boys being on computers and gaming instruments and screens for as long as they were. And I reminded us, hey, well, that's how we're in different states. Some of us, the Texas crew visits with the Florida crew, but we are growing and developing relationships on a regular basis. And I think we just allowed ourselves to give our kids the permission to develop and deepen relationships that they had with their teachers and their friends through screens. And that was just a lens shift, I think, for all of us.
That's an important lens shift, though. I mean, I think we all as parents, we really put pressure, at least I do. I put pressure on myself. Is it too much? Is it too much? But I've eased up. And thanks to the awesome support I have with the three of you and conversations we've shared about easing up and giving them their space with it, because quite frankly, right now, it is the connectivity they have available. It is the really only connectivity to their world and their friends. So we've chosen to ease up as long as schoolwork is done and the necessary chores around the house are completed. They spend a lot of time on their gaming, and I'm just finding comfort with allowing myself that space to say, it's okay. I'm not going to worry about that right now. Kind of pick your battles a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
Sheryl, what's going on in your world in Tampa? I would love for you to share. I mean, the last 60 days, a lot of shifts, a lot of progress, a lot of evolution. What are you seeing in Tampa?
We're not seeing a slowdown at all in our market. It really is crazy. And I'm not sure if it's because more people are in their houses looking at houses or houses on their phones. They've been cooped up. Maybe some divorces. I don't know. People are moving. So we're not seeing a slowdown there at all. As you all know, I made the very difficult decision. Actually, I'm wrapping up my 6-month commitment that I had made to express offers, the iBuyer program within eXp Realty. So I'm just now, May 22nd is my official last day. So I'll be transitioning out of that, and I'll circle back to servicing my community. I love Bexley, where I live, and we've got some things going on here, listing and buying, and but I just love serving investors, whether second homes or whatnot. That's my plan. I'll just circle back and I'll service our investor partners.
And you're brilliant with the investors. That's another thing. I work with some, but then I love listening to you and learning from you because you approach it so differently, and you've built an incredible business around investors. So I love
as a background, weren't you an appraiser, Sheryl?
Yeah, I got in the business, 18, 19 years ago as a property appraiser. And
I mean, that's a unique skill set that a lot of realtors don't have. I mean, we do comps, but we don't have, in-depth appraisal skills.
Yeah, I don't think that it makes me any different in terms. I mean, you guys could do it just as well as I could do it with your realtor background. There's no doubt about that. But so when our market came back, I think statistically here in Tampa, the bottom of our market was January 2012. And how do you come out of a down market? Well, of course, cash investors are driving up the market. Otherwise, you couldn't get the comps. So I had a great run from 2012 to just 2018. So, and I want to do some more investments of my own. I'm very passionate about helping other agents, helping our agents, helping my rev share group, because here's what we have at eXp. We are awarded shares of our company for doing transactions just as we would do anyway. Our first transaction of every year, we get a pot of shares. When we cap, we get a pot of shares. When we introduce somebody else to the opportunity, we get a pot of shares. Well, I had enough pods of shares that I was able to pull out and put down money on an investment property. And, it's just, why would you not want to accumulate shares? And of course, I see that as my retirement, big picture, but I'm also leveraging that money to leverage an investment property for my retirement. So I'm super passionate about helping other agents do that.
I'm curious. I love that. Yes, round of applause. I'm curious what each of you, anyone who wants to share, what do you think we'll see as far as continued adoption of the technology, such as, I know we're all doing 360s and we're all checking all the boxes for our sellers with giving every possible tool to help market their properties. What do you see we will keep? And hopefully what I'm seeing is efficiencies that will improve the way we serve our customers, and also maybe take 20 showings down to 5 showings. What are your thoughts on that?
I think express offers is hugely valuable in a time like this. I think some of the changes that we'll see coming out of it is, not everybody wants the top dollar. There are a lot of people that pay for convenience and they will take a lower offer. I think that not having to have people through your home, I do think that virtual open houses are here to stay. And I love that. I love that we have an affiliated partner here at EXP that can do that, and we can help push our shares up as part of it. But yeah, I don't think we'll ever go back to what we knew. But again, I take comfort that I'm with some pretty smart people.
I mean, Renee, I think you had the right word. I think there's going to be some continued efficiency. I think some of it is getting back to some basics. When we were in a stricter shelter in place here in Austin, at least, and real estate to some degree was an essential service, but it was leading us to really vet, if you had owner occupied properties, who you let into the property. And so we were getting back to some of our basics. A group of agents here in Austin, we collaborated and created some pretty intense showing protocol that, had a questionnaire for buyers to get into a home to ensure that they were serious buyers. They had to have proof of funds or pre-approval letter of a local lender. They needed to let us know if they had another property to sell. I mean, this is old school buyer qualification stuff. And, this is all just efficiency. And Elizabeth taught a wonderful class online about holding a virtual open house through Zoom that actually I think we should continue throughout. So there was efficiency, but I've also been mindful that there's been this attention on local, much like a school teacher or a mom. When there's an emergency, the eyeballs go to, where are my kids? Does everyone have everything? You go back to your emergency systems. And I was getting calls left and right. I do a lot of community service work in my neighborhood. I have an old school geographic farm, but I also serve a lot of virtual farms and tribe farms in real estate, different communities. And a lot of people were calling me, listening to the national news and worried about what was going on nationally. And they assumed that was what was happening in Austin. So I started a weekly blog where I was helping my neighbors and my community here in Austin understand what was happening in Austin. Right. Not that we had to discount or ignore the national news, but I think there was a need that my community had for a curator, a local librarian, a local expert. And I feel like that's something that I'm being reminded of and focused on. There's just been this new narrowed focus through this time of local. What can I be doing for my community? How can I be educating them on what's happening here? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Perfect. Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. And I saw your blogs and I followed along with what you were putting out in way of local content over the last 60 days. But Jill, you do that all the time. In fact, every one of us on this conversation does that all the time. The true success in building the business that will have a strong foundation is being the mayor of your town, right? Being that resource that doesn't even necessarily always have to do with real estate. Like if I have somebody in my world who wants to know which resort they should stay at when they come to Orlando, right? I want them to think of me. Like Orlando, Renee, anything. You need a pool person. You need a resort recommendation. You need to go. Yeah, like where do you want to bring your kids?
Hairstylist, pedicure.
Lord knows you need that.
Yeah.
But I think
you want to be the human Rolodex.
Right. Forever. Yeah. And you mentioned you started doing that recently, but you actually do that all the time. I know each of us do that. That's really foundational for us in our business.
You're right. I think there have been for all of us a lot of reminder lessons of, okay, let's get back to the basics. And I know you've talked about that in some of your other sessions with some of your guests, getting back to the basics. All of a sudden I had this new hyper narrowed focus on what do my people need? What do my clients need? What do my neighbors need? Do I have seniors that can't get out and get groceries? All right, we're going to do that. And I know we were all doing that, but there was just this, okay, got to get back to serving what's here and now and getting local. And to me, that's what felt like leadership from the heart. I mean, it's all about local. I'm not saying that we can't lead nationally, but it starts with your family and your community. Anyway,
Your neighbor, love thy neighbor.
Well, and I think it's creating an awareness, right? And I talk about this, we're going to come out of this hopefully better and with more grace, but it's creating an awareness, but it's also in our business or in my business, it's creating efficiencies that were necessary for the time, but I'm realizing, oh, wait, that's actually a better way of doing things. I mean, you mentioned the Zoom open houses, right? I've got a number of listings that launched during this time. And one of the guidelines I put in, yes, all the things you said, you have to sign these things, you have to have a pre-qual, you have to do all these things, but they had to go through a virtual open house with me before they could even show it, right? Not my vacant ones. But what I'm realizing is now, even though they can show, my clients are reaching out to me going, hey, I really like that. Can you go through that with them again first before we even show it? Because my clients don't want to be inconvenienced. They don't want to have their house spotless for somebody to walk in and be like, oh yeah, I don't like this layout. Or have to get their babies out and go for a walk, or just nobody wants to be inconvenienced right now. I think I'm going to see more of that. And so now I put that as part of my process. Hey, we're going to go through this virtual open house, which Jill was so funny. A couple of them came on and they're like, wait a minute, you're not at the house? I was like, no, I'm sitting in my office. This is what
we're going to virtual background of the house.
Right. I had the virtual background. But it was just like, no, there are different ways. We don't have to drive across. Today, I had to drive an hour to a property that I have under contract because my out-of-state client, right? I've eliminated so much of that by doing things differently, and my clients appreciate it more on an efficiency side, that I'm going to implement that into my process moving forward. There's no reason why not to, and they appreciate it.
We are too. We've been spending a lot of time conversing about processes and protocols that went into place as a result of COVID. So mid-March, we had a protocol in place on how to make sure that the agents were safe and everyone knew what to expect. But the conversations now are about what efficiencies should stay, and also reminding each other that we're so grateful that for us, our date was March 12th. I woke up on March 12th and our whole world had changed. And that's just a date I'll never forget. But in everything going on, of course, we send our prayers, and there's a crisis going on, and we keep everyone in our thoughts and prayers. From a business side, it was such a relief to not wake up on March 12th and have to think about, how will I train my agents now? How will I continue to nurture the culture of the community of my team or my office? How will I be a leader to my agents? Because that internal process has been a well-oiled machine for us for almost 3 years now. What we woke up on March 12th and said, how will we serve our customers and make sure our agents know how to serve the customers in this uncertain time? So that's when we stepped in on that side, the outside processes. I fully expect for our processes on our team that we will continue to offer, at the very least with our sellers, to say, here's all the resources that we found to work during this time period, and we can limit the showings if we want to implement some of these, like you said, Elizabeth, is we don't necessarily, seller can choose. I want to make sure everyone's seen the 360, they've done the video walkthrough, you've done a virtual showing first, and they're pre-qualified. Yes, I would like a showing. Great. Yeah. The seller has the option now to choose that.
Yeah, it gives them more options. But you're right, Renee. What you said was key. When this all hit, for you it was March 12th. For me, it was March 14th. We were not like others where we were scrambling to figure out the next steps or what do we do, right? It goes back to Glenn saying we were prepared. Jill and I have been here 5 years. Like, this is how we operate. This is how our company's been built, right? And so you're right. Instead of us having to scramble and go, oh my gosh, what do we do? How do help, we could take that time and call each of our clients and truly ask them, how are you? How can I help? Can we bring you groceries? What can we do? We weren't having to worry about how we were going to support them on the business side because we already had that handled. But we could authentically get into action to help our community, like Jill said, help our community in a bigger way because we had all of the business, we had all of our systems already in place because of this company. So I'm internally grateful for that. And it's allowed me to kind of dig in deeper. And I've actually taken a book out of Jill's page. You know what I've been doing the last few days, Jill, or last week or so?
What?
CMAs for appraisals. I've been able to reach out to my clients saying, hey, are you protesting? Are you proud of me? I've never had the time or the bandwidth to do that, right? Because we're always like scattered in a million ways. But I can proactively reach out to my clients. Hey guys, just so you know, here's what's going on. Do you want to try and protest? Let me give you this information. I've been able to help a number of clients, and then they're sending me a note back going, oh my gosh, I saved all this money. Thank you so much. I could have never done that as scattered as I was.
And are you guys noticing, when we had to drive to meetings and attend meetings and be in board meetings or go to coffee houses, now that we're just in one location and we're still doing lots of Zoom calls and client consults, but there is a different rhythm that is happening in life right now. And it's reminding me to slow down. I feel like I'm finally settling. I mean, I'm a little isolated. Elizabeth heard me yesterday. I'm like, I'm bored. But I do gain energy from people, but I've enjoyed the slowdown, but it's just, I feel like I'm in tune to a different rhythm right now. And I'm mindful that some of the stuff that I was doing wasn't helping focus on the right things.
You want to know my new motto?
What?
No.
Wow. That's a big.
Now I use it mostly on my kids when they come in. I'm like, it's brilliant. Everybody needs a no button.
I like that.
Well, that puts me in mind of this. Now, we had Debbie Byrie on last week.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched that Leadership from the Heart, listen, you want to talk about all the feels. She is an inspiring, awesome lady. But Debbie was sharing, hopefully you can see, Debbie was sharing some great wisdom about Tanya Dalton and the joy of missing out. This is the next book I'll be reading. I'm ready. I'm going to start diving in, but I really think that there's a lot to be gained by some focus on this and the no button.
Yeah. We all need that book and the no button. I think that's what we need. So
no button in the book of, I've been reading a lot. I've slowed down where I've stepped into my son's English literature curriculum. I'm reading I read Fahrenheit 451, Animal Farm, Frankenstein. I mean, I'm enjoying literature that I never enjoyed in high school.
I'm being a teacher that I'm not enjoying. I will say that right now for times 4.
All right, ladies, a couple hot seat questions for Sheryl and Jill. We're going to put you in the hot seat now. First one is, in 3 words or less, Sheryl, what does eXp Realty mean to you?
Opportunity, collaboration, fun.
Good.
Miss Jill, 3 words or less.
Jill, I know this is probably the hardest thing for you. Only 3 words.
It's kind of hard. Freedom, contribution, authority. And I mean authority in a not like dictating way, but, stepping into authority.
Empowerment.
Empowerment, yes.
I actually like the word authority, and I understand because I know you. I understand
Right.
what you're referencing, and we ask that question often on this show. And also, gosh, I think it was probably our first EXPCon that Jeff and I attended. We brought a camera and we went around and asked that question to many, and you each are on that video. We have a video from the first EXPCon you all answered. I've never heard someone mention authority, but I think that's a really interesting word.
Just think about it. Our platform gives everybody the authority to add their creativity and to unleash it in their own unique way. Workplace, the Verbella campus, our world, our virtual world, we had the openness to step into our authority and create district regional events. Our first event in Tampa was attended by board of directors, our founder and CEO, our marketing people. It wasn't out of a prideful, we want to be powerful and, recognized. It wasn't out of a desire to be loved or seen. It was out of a desire to contribute. And so we said, let's create this. And our leaders give us the freedom to do this and say, go, come from contribution. How can you lift us all up?
And they ask us how they can help.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
One of the things that EXP has taught me, and I don't know if I've shared this with the three of you before, I used to be a person who everything was proprietary as it related to our profession and our job. Hindsight, I understand where that came from because whatever success we had achieved, Jeff and I, everybody kept their secrets close in and no one shared ever with us. So we were mapping out whatever map and journey we were going to find all 100% on our own, just he and I. So I became very protective and I was like constricting the information. In fact, he and I don't argue often, but one of the things we used to argue about when I was in that mindset of not sharing is he would give out information. And literally, I remember saying to him on many occasions, why did you share that with someone? That's who I was.
Wow.
Yep. I don't know if I've shared that with the three of you, but that is who I was. I would get mad at him and it would be something like, I'll share a photographer or I'll share this. And I would say to him, you're sharing and this is private. We've earned this. This is important for our business. Awful mindset. I raised my hand and I had that. I'll say it full-heartedly. That's who I was. EXP was the first place I ever found myself in EXP. All of you, the people in leadership, taught me that your philanthropic mindset that you give to your community in whatever effort of time, talent, or treasure you donate to whatever thing that you're passionate about, that same mindset works in the professional environment. And so this switch flipped for me. And I went from not sharing a single iota of our business to there's no secret sauce. Literally, the playbook is open. I will share with anyone because of you three and because of leadership and the way Glenn leads and the way all of the amazing mentors we have, they've poured into me. So I vow, and as I know all three of us here do, that the way we will repay the universe and our mentors that pour into us is we'll pour into others.
That's so beautiful, Renee. Thank you for being vulnerable about that. And yeah, it is truly one of the things that makes EXP so very special. I'd like to share too, that's a huge paradigm shift, Renee, and it reminds me of the paradigm shift that I've had since encountering EXP. And, to make a long story short, essentially it's just shifting from that drive, as a single mother conditioned, worrying about the French fry farm in the back seat when I have clients to take to see houses, Noah being a single mom and efficiencies. And, I'm a driven person, God put it in my belly that there was something bigger for my life. And I was driven, but it was so mentally, it was so academic. And I never had felt inspiration before EXP. And I think it's because I was always only as good as my last closing.
Yeah.
Right? So with now we have the cushion from our shares, we have cushion from rev share, and I now have the room and the space and the people around me to feel on a consistent basis inspiration. And that is the paradigm shift that I have experienced with EXP. And
I love hearing that from both of you guys. And we all have a story that is a flame, a birthplace of what drives us and moves us forward to give and share. So I'm going to remind you, Sheryl, of that word inspiration. And Renee, I'm sorry, I'm pointing. In theater, you're never supposed to point at this.
That's your authority portion coming out.
Sorry, no pointing. I wasn't pointing.
Do the Disney
Renee,
point.
like,
Disney point.
like contribution. I just want you to remember those two words because I think Elizabeth and I came from a culture at our previous brokerage that did share. There was a culture of let's help each other out, and Elizabeth and I taught endlessly. But
I was going to say that was us sharing, Jill.
But we weren't given the authority to unleash our creativity in 75,000 different ways. Right. That was the difference. I felt like I had to share, but within this box in this script. But that's why EXP is freedom. Mel Gibson and Braveheart. Sorry, that's a terrible scene reference. I'm sorry. But it's just that authority, that creative permission to unleash who you are meant to be and the gifts that you want to share with the world. So Sheryl and Renee, I'm going to remind you of those words.
Well, and Jill, I'm going to remind you to tell your story.
Okay.
So there you go. Fair enough. We've all been on the hot seat. So
before we wrap, it's our last question, right, Elizabeth?
Yeah, I have to run. So I just wanted to say that I love you all, and I'm so excited that you're my tribe and that you make me want to be a better person, agent, friend, leader. And so thank you.
Thank you.
Love you, love you, love you.
Love you, Miss Elizabeth.
I got to run. I'll see you guys soon.
I love you guys. Bye.
Okay, wait, I got to ask you. I want to know.
Oh, okay. What's this question? You have me curious.
We have to wrap every show with this. What does leading from the heart mean to you, Jill?
Being authentic to yourself. I got to be me. To thine own self be true. You got to know who you are and what matters to you and what story you want to author. So it's all about authenticity.
I love that. Sheryl.
I'd have to say, in my experience, leading from the heart, you can't very much lead when you are in a state of lack, a state of need, a state of just overdrive. I've not thought that, given my experience as a single mother, mostly a hot mess, hustling to make ends meet, that I could lead anybody, right? But in this place of inspiration and this place of security, because of the financial freedom that you referenced, Jill, or freedom, that I have gifts. We all have gifts. So, finding the purpose and where can I help the most amount of people in the most effective way? And I've learned so much over the 20 years, nearly 20 years in real estate investment. And that's my mission now, to help as many real estate agents I can generate wealth through real estate investments while traveling the world with my son.
Yay!
That's the best answer. I love it.
Okay, I brought hats. I didn't get to show you all my hats.
I have a mask.
I have a sombrero and
let's party. It's happy hour. All right.
It's 5 o'clock our time.
Oh my
I
gosh, guys.
celebrate you guys, my tribe, my soul sister.
Love you. Love you both so, so much. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us, Renee.
Bye, Cheryl. Bye, Jill.
Bye. Bye.
Love you guys.
See you later. Bye-bye.